You got to recognize this is an issue you've got to address, and it's doable within your own company. The best companies don't wait for the general society to get together. They do it internally. They do it in-house.
You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan Englin, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit hiring system, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest. Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Ryan Englin. And on today's show of Titans of the Trades, I sit down and I talk to Manja Horner. She is the founder and CEO of Boost. And this is a company that is doing something that is so necessary, so critical for the trades right now that I want you to be ready to take some notes. Not only are we going to talk about the problem, we're going to talk about how to solve the problem, and that is capturing tribal knowledge, capturing the information, the decades or centuries of information that our people have, the tips, the tricks, the little nuances about being able to perform in a way that gives our clients our secret sauce. How do we capture that information? How do we package it up? And how do we train it to the next generation? That's what we're going to talk about on today's episode. So I want to welcome today's show, Manja Horner. Manja, welcome to the show.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We chat for just a second before I started this, and you and your team are solving, I think, what is one of the greatest problems in the trades that no one is talking about. We all know it's a thing. We all know we need to do something about it, but I think we're all waiting for the other guy to do it. And that is capturing tribal knowledge, the wealth of experience that our leaders and the people that have been with us for so long have, that isn't captured in any textbook or playbook or anything. And usually what we do is we teach it to the new guy by showing him and working alongside, which is great until we have this impending crisis of 40% of people in the trades retiring because they are now aging out of the system. So I am so excited to have this conversation with you today because I know it's such a need. And frankly, I don't really know how to solve it, but that's your expertise. So take a minute, introduce yourself to our listeners, and then let's jump in.
Yeah, thanks. This is the problem that Boost is meant to solve. This is the reason why I created this business Boost and started working specifically with skilled trades companies over the last number of years. And that is because we know 30 to 40% of the workforce is walking out the door, mainly due to retirement in the next, really up to 10 years, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And that's something that we can't ignore. I realized how important this was when my dad's company, he has a historic restoration business. That's the trade I learned, actually. I was a stripper when I was in my late teens, paint stripping, mainly a lot of wood restoration and historic preservation. So it was when the master plasterer who I'd worked alongside retired after 30 years at my dad's business. He didn't want to party. He didn't make a fuss. He just dropped off his last timesheet. He grabbed his bucket with his tools and he just walked out the door. And, everybody was like sad to see him go, but he was getting his hips done and he was done. So we had lost this incredibly experienced person after 30 years in the company. He had apprenticed and learned in back in the old country, and that was it. So nothing that he knew or did was written down. And I just realized, okay, what are you going to do? Yes, there's some of us who learned alongside him, but now what? Nothing's written down. His recipes for special lime components in a stucco mix for an exterior, that's not written down. Like, where is everything? It's gone. And so that's exactly what every company is facing, regardless of what kind of industry you're in. You've got a vacuum where decades of their knowledge used to live. And so we have to do something about it. We have to capture it and we have to make it available to the next generation to pick up and interact with in their own way. And that's the thing we have to be mindful of. Younger generations access information a little differently. So we've got to meet them where they're at with the way that we present the materials and make it available for consumption. So that's what we've done with Boost. We're a few years into the business now. We have a team of about 10, and our specialty is actually doing the work, creating a learning ecosystem for companies with about 50 or more employees in the skilled trades. And then, that means everything from capturing the knowledge to making it available in a technological way, so digitally, and all the other bits that make up a learning ecosystem. I'm not going to go into all of that. We're going to really focus on the knowledge capture engine today.
Thank you. That's so much stuff. And you shared so many scary facts about the industry and what this impending crisis that we will have. It's not going to be a labor shortage. There are going to be people that want these jobs, but there's no one to teach them how to do the jobs. The idea of the apprenticeship is not as effective today as it used to be. We've got to get people trained up. We've got to get them out of the classroom quickly. We got to get them onto the job site quickly because of the crisis that we have in not having enough of the next generation coming into the trade. So much here that we could dig into. I think one of the big issues I see a couple of issues with this. One of them is there's a mindset issue. There's just you know what? I'm going to wait for the other guy to solve this problem. I'm going to wait for the trade schools to solve this problem. I don't need to worry about it. And I can't stand the idea of relying on someone else to train my people and to teach my people how to do the job. So that's one piece. We've got this aging workforce who doesn't want to do the digital capture. They don't want to make it digitally available because that's not how they learn. And then we have this next generation coming in saying, I want the technology. I want it to be on video. I want it to be interactive and maybe even virtual reality type stuff. And we've got a whole bunch of construction contractors that are like, we build stuff. We don't make software. We don't do the digital thing. Like there's so many different things that are going on here right now. How do you solve that? And where can people get started? Like, what's that first step?
Well, the first step in any 12-step process is awareness, I believe. um, so yeah, awareness is key. If you're thinking, this isn't for me, I'll wait to do this till later, that's not going to fly. Because if it's not written down, recorded, or passed down, it's just not preserved. It's gone. It's lost. And what you're losing in the trades isn't just techniques, but it's intuition, it's experience, and it's craft. It's the stuff that you can't Google or YouTube very easily, because I don't know if you've been on YouTube lately, but my kids watch the dumbest stuff. I'm like, these people are making you stupider. Don't listen to them. But that's what's out there. That's who's making content and putting it on YouTube and making it exciting for young kids. It's flashy, it's fast, it's irritating, and it's not teaching them what WD-40 is. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is a little diversion. I was at a conference talking with a marketing director of WD-40, and she said that they are completely changing the way their customer marketing is, because kids don't even know what WD-40 is. That's a brand that we all just know as a common lubricant. Kids don't even know because they're not in the shop. They're not in the garage. They're not, getting their bike chain softened up and stopping squeaky doors. Like they don't know. And so that's what we're faced with. We don't have an issue of warm bodies interested in getting in the trades. We've got a skilled middle ground of people that is missing.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about taking them beyond that basic apprenticeship and then understanding that intuition, that technique, those lessons learned, the experience in the craft. So that's what we're doing. So we can get right into some why, but first it's the mindset. You got to recognize this is an issue you've got to address, and it's doable within your own company. The best companies don't wait for the general society to get their shit together. They do it internally. They do it in-house. Because even if you're hiring unionized members, like some people, they have a lot of union staff. We deal with them as well. You still have to teach them the way you want stuff done in your own company.
Yeah.
So those trade secrets, the lessons learned from previous projects and jobs, your unique methodology, your best practices. So, like the tips and tricks, or that, we don't have to buy that particular thing. If we buy this one, it's got enough of that ingredient, it does the job. It's the secrets with interacting perhaps with your politicians or your red tape or your bureaucracy down at the planning department. It's a lot of things, right? The good stuff and the stuff that you've learned the hard way. That's what you want to get captured. And it's totally possible to do it um, for everybody in your company. So, we can talk a little bit more about role specific, what you could do
Yeah.
and what you should capture if you want to get into that.
I'm hearing you give some examples that I've never even thought of. Like, I see this every day in the work we do over at Core Matters, because everybody wants to hire that veteran craft worker who's got 10 years of experience, knows how to lead, knows how to operate the equipment, even knows how to do it their way. Like, I mean, that's what everybody wants. No one
Good
wants
luck.
to train the new guy. And
Yeah.
so we see it all the time because that training doesn't exist. And they're hoping that one of their seasoned craft workers has the time and the experience to be able to train. Like, training is a skill that you have to learn. You can't just say, watch me, because that's where you lose out on all of the things you're talking about. And as you're talking about some of these examples, I'm thinking, well, Manja, those are little things. Like, it's a little thing to know how to do this, and a little thing to know how to do that, and a little thing how to do this. And I'll bet you if we put together all those little things, we would have a dictionary-sized book of things that
Yeah.
we've
Yeah,
learned. And that's what
exactly.
you're talking
Yeah.
about.
And that's the kind of stuff that actually makes money. That's the stuff that gets you that, costs within 2% or timeline within a month or, you know, reducing rework by a certain percentage. Like that's the stuff that actually saves you time and bottom line. Or it saves you from really expensive and tragic accidents.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's that. So there's different things. There's actually two reasons why companies choose to do this. One, they're either running towards something proactive and they know that they need to do something before it's too late, or two, they're running away from something because maybe they've lost stuff in a fire or in a flood, or, that might be related to the office, or somebody got, killed on the job or injured really badly. Like there's different reasons why. Usually it's to run towards proactive or to run away from something painful. But I've got an example. Like we're working with a civil engineering company. They have 6 senior engineers retiring in the next 24 months.
Oof.
So that's like 400 years of experience walking
Yeah.
out the door. You can imagine in cities, major cities, that's a lot of insight. There's a lot of people within that company that are going to wish, in the 6 or 12 months after they retired, that they could just pick up the phone and talk to them. They may not have that opportunity, right?
Mm.
So what we're doing there is this is a proactive effort to set up our knowledge capture engine and get what they're holding in their brains. It's just kind of locked in these brain vaults, and we've got to unlock it and then get it out. So yeah, I think we've established it's important. There's a couple reasons why we're going to want to do it. And then we should talk a little bit more about what can you do and who should you do this for? What roles in the organization
That's
should you
what I'm
be
thinking, because
setting this up for?
we've established this as a need. We've established that there are people out there that will either run towards something or run from something, that have already
Yeah.
said, yes, I absolutely need this. But then I could just picture standing in their shoes going, oh my gosh, there is
Mhm.
400 years worth of
Mhm.
knowledge that we need to capture. Like,
Yeah,
how do
that sounds
you
pretty daunting.
it does. How do you even get started?
Okay, so getting started, I think the first is recognizing we've recognized why this is important. Cool. Okay, we know that. Now we have to think about what do we want to capture. So let's just picture a few different categories. So you can categorize based on the type of information that you really want to gain. So is it procedures? Is it methods? Is it trade secrets? Is it best practices? You can think about how you want to organize that by role or by function or by type of job. So it depends on your company and what matters. But I'm just going to kind of say high level. These are the ones that you should think about capturing from owners and leaders. So if you're an owner or you're an executive at a company, you should be capturing your brain too. All right. If you're 75 and still running your glass shop, you're still making all the decisions. You've got to get that stuff in your head written down. What if your goal is to sell or exit your company?
Mm.
you've got everything stuck in your head. What if you want to retire or take a holiday or like, go to Florida for this winter or whatever? You want to get that stuff that sits with you out of your head as well. So we can think of very simply um just the cadences, the playbook for your role. So it can be simple like that. It could be things like even just your passwords and legal and operational stuff, your vision and strategy. It could be your key relationships and the right parties and events to attend. Like it could be anything like that for your role. And we do create these leadership playbooks a fair bit because people recognize that, like, God forbid something happens to me, it's all gone. Like this business doesn't run, or
Mhm.
key parts of the business won't function. So it's you. All right, it's you. The second is your managers. So your foreman, supers, whatever, those kind of manager types. We hear a lot of complaints about this category, like, well, I'm sick and tired of babysitting people. Well,
Mm.
stop using that term. How about we think about leading or parenting? Like, you can't constantly be hovering and answering every question as a parent. Like, yeah, you want to avoid the injuries and the spills and the destruction of your property, but like, you've got to enable people. So there's a lot here, stuff that we want managers to be able to tell and show. So, usually in this category, we're thinking about commonly asked questions so they're not repeating themselves constantly. More checklists and processes and written down workflows and standard operating procedures so people can help themselves. We want to enable them to help themselves and access information. Also, what's important in this category is stuff that doesn't happen really regularly. So, if you're in a business where it's not super routine or standardized, things that happen less frequently, where they're like, oh, yeah, I was shown that once, but I forget.
Mhm.
That's the kind of stuff you want to have in a video or in a document. Um, Anything where it's really step by step, you need it done in a certain way. Like, don't skip these steps or you're going to mess up. That kind of thing is really important to have written down. You need checklists or guides there. Video examples of how you like things done at your company. That's important for onboarding. Even if you hire somebody with 5, 10 years of experience and you think like, oh, they should know this. Yeah, they got trained by somebody else. They picked up bad habits somewhere else. You got to show them how we want it done. Insights, cautions, just that, like how we do it. So that's the more that tribal knowledge piece,
Yeah.
like the stuff oh, I often think of my husband. He was a police officer, so they get trained at the police college and then they get out on the road and they spend 3, 4 months in the police college and they learn all this defensive tactics training. And, it's like fancy this and hold here and flip there and do that. And then you get out on the road and it's like, just put the guy in a headlock. Like, we're not going to do all that fancy stuff. So that's the tribal knowledge. That's the like, okay, you learned it in police college like this. This is actually how you do it.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of that in our companies.
That's fun.
So
Yeah.
you got to capture that. I'll take a breath. I've got a few other roles I want to get into, but I'll let you kind of
Well,
respond
so
before I
the
bulldoze ahead.
yeah, no, the question that's going through my mind right now is lots of great examples for the leaders, the managers, the people that are already
Hmm.
sitting in front of a computer for a portion
Yep,
of the day or a tablet. What about the craft worker? What about that person, that crane operator or that iron worker or someone that pipe layer that isn't in front of
sure.
technology? How do you capture that stuff?
Absolutely. So I will echo, it is easier to get the information out of the desk workers or knowledge workers. Your staff, your receptionists, they're
Sure.
a category that people often look past. Your administrators, so project administrators, managers, people that handle that supply chain and vendor relationships, all that stuff, those are all important roles.
Hmm.
And they're easier to capture. And in fact, it's easier to get them to capture themselves. And I have a lot of tips for how to capture yourself in my upcoming book, which we can get to at the end of this episode. But
Definitely.
the field staff are your harder people to get the information from. Not impossible, but a little harder. And I'd argue they're some of the more important ones. So let's just think about. Um, I'm going to be a little stereotypical here, bear with me, but I'm going to go back to Bronco. Okay, I'll use him as an example. He's from the Balkans and he learned in the old days, the old country, he always referred it to. His English sucked. We pretty much needed Google Translate all the time just to be able to understand because his accent was pretty thick and he used really random words. Somehow, he managed to figure out how to send inappropriate memes all the time. So, he had that locked down. Um, and his timesheet was questionable. Just the handwritten components, you were not sure what he had written down. So we've got this guy, Bronco, awesome guy, 30 plus years, walks out the door, and we're like, wow, we did not get enough information from him. So it's that kind of guy. We're not going to be able to expect him to write down anything that he does. So this is a classic case of we're going to have to get some help, a buddy, a younger apprentice, even a company like us. Like that's what we do for our clients is we actually do this work for them so that it gets done on time and it's useful at the end of it, because this is a pretty major project with a lot of tentacles, as it were. But what we're doing here is we're going to be using an interview style. So we ask a lot of questions, very intentional ones from actually different points of view. So with a senior tradesperson or craftsman, we're asking the people that report to them, the people that work alongside them, the people that manage their projects or supervise, and we're asking owners. So we're asking a bunch of people around, what do you really want to know? What's most important for your point of view? So that's really key because now you've got a range of questions. And then the interviews that we're going to do, we're going to ask them to show us how you do something. What do you do to save your own effort? If you've been doing something for 30 years, you've found the hacks. You figured out how to reduce, the time and and effort on your back, or like your knees or your hands, whatever. You found the hacks. You got to ask that. You've got to ask them a lot of stories. Tell me when you did that job and it was really good. Sometimes we even pull out old project documents and say like, okay, this project, remember the one we did? Yeah. Remember that one? Okay. What went really well there? What did you do to avoid disaster on that one that, we thought, oh dear, shit's going to go down on that project. So what'd you do? Tell me about when you made bigger mistakes earlier in your career and what would you do now? Um, some of it is like, what are the weird tools and parts in your shop or in your truck? Like, what is that tool? What does that do? Tell me about that. Or the thing that they jimmy rig themselves. There's a lot of tools and things that people make themselves just to get the job done better. Tell me about that. Oh, that's your secret. Oh, that'll kind of like spark some ideas. And ask them some questions about how they make decisions or what they wish the young people knew about their work or what bugs them the most about this generation. Like ask some of those questions and start to get the stories out. But this is very manual. So you're going to have to use video camera. You're going to have to use audio, microphone clip to their chest. You're going to maybe even have to convince them that this is worth doing. So it
So
is a bit of a manual process, but you can get some of your apprentices or younger people to help. They can video, like, hey, Bronco, show me this. And then they can set up a tripod and video with an iPhone. But you do need somebody with experience to be able to ask the right questions and extract the key knowledge and insights. Otherwise, you're going to have a video, but not a lot of explanation.
yeah, what a cool part of the apprenticeship. I come in to learn to be a pipe layer and I get to hold the GoPro. Right? And
Well,
learn this stuff.
right?
Like that is so cool. So let
Yeah.
me ask this.
Yeah.
So we've captured what is probably the equivalent of hundreds, if not thousands of hours of video in interviewing
Yeah.
all these people, learning this stuff. What do you do then? Like I know we got to organize
Yeah.
it, we got to do all that, but how do you actually
Yeah.
get it so that the next generation can actually consume this information? And what's that process look like?
Yeah. Great question. Well, and I kind of picture like if we're tackling a garage cleaning process and you've got like 3 generations of your grandparents and your parents and your own crap in there, you got to like pull it all out, make some buckets and go, okay, here's what's worth keeping and here's what's worth passing on. You might have a lot of junk, like, old golf clubs. They're not going to help your game, but there might actually be some valuable paintings or a coin collection tucked in there. And you're like, yeah, I'm so glad I found that. So think of it like that. We've just pulled everything out. We've figured out the buckets that are worth doing. We've captured all the stuff. It's sitting on the lawn. And now we've got to put it back into the right place in our garage so that other people know where to find things. So we call this your organizational system. So there's definitely software tools and structures that you're going to use to get things organized. So at a very, very basic, bear with me here, you're going to have an information management system. So this might be like your SharePoint or your Google Drive. It might be a software specific for this, like,
Mm.
I don't know, Notion or Trainual, or maybe you've got like, I don't know, Corefix or Procore or Notify. Like you've got something that you use to store information. You're going to just blow that out a little bit. Or you might be at the point now where it's time for a learning management system, like an
Mm.
actual software that's meant to create learning pathways for different roles. That might be a place, but you've got to imagine the end result and how are people going to interact with this information? And you're going to have a variety of different outputs, different knowledge assets. You're going to have documents, checklists. There might be like binders that you print and have in vehicles or on job sites or on the walls in shops or, like some of the reference stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But chances are it's going to be digital. And you're going to have a video library. You're going to have folders with videos and accompanying checklists. Like there's got to be ways that your next generation is going to naturally go and pull information out. So like I said, don't get bogged down in the technology and definitely don't start there. You're
Yeah,
going to
yeah, yeah. No,
start
I
with
was just
sticky
asking. I mean, we
notes
kind of,
and pen and paper. And you're going to start organizing in like a folder structure, as it
yeah.
were, like by role, by topic, um, best practices, things like that. So you're going to start there and then eventually we'll turn that into training. So there's a process here to make it useful for young people. And I'll tell you about the really cool freaking AI powered thing that we're building right now. So we can talk about that in a sec.
Yeah, I was just thinking, so we first established that they need to make the decision. They need to acknowledge and be aware of this issue that they need to solve. And then they need to capture that information. Now they need to be able to do something to prepare it for the next generation. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, oh, and there's probably AI tools that are going to be able to scrub a
Yep.
whole bunch of this stuff and make heads or tails of it easily for us. But one of the things I'm thinking is, besides, oh my gosh, this is a lot of work. And
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah. It's a
good thing
project.
that Boost exists. And there's companies that can help that. Is this the kind of thing that when you are ready to do this and you've decided, I want to capture as much of this as possible, do you almost need to hire someone internal that can help manage this whole process? Or if you partner
Possibly.
with someone like Boost, do they just take care of everything?
Yeah, like if you partner with us, we manage the whole effort on the back end, but obviously you have to have champions within the company. So usually there's leaders that have gone, this is something that matters to us. We're going to spend the next 12 to 18 months like working this out. There's an investment and you're probably going to take somebody, a project person or a administrator in your company, and you're going to assign them to us so that we can get access, time on people's calendars,
Sure.
um, get on site to do some of the video capture or the interviews. So we're going to handle everything on the back end. You're going to have to make decisions and be part of that process, like the inputs. If we recommend software, you're going to have to help us demo 2 or 3 tools that we recommend and pick the one that's best. Like it's a collaborative process, but certainly sets you up for future. So then we also want to teach you how to maintain this going forward. And that might be where, depending on your size, the time is right to bring on somebody who can help maintain or keep building new, keep adding,
Sure.
because you're going to start creating a culture of ongoing tribal knowledge capture. Usually younger people or newer, I'll say junior, they know that this is something they want. They're all going to YouTube to look up stuff
Hmm.
because they don't want to ask questions, but you don't want them YouTubing out there. You want them looking internally at your own videos and tools. They're gonna be thrilled for that. I can tell you a little bit too. AI is moving so fast, and we've been doing this work in companies, in industries all across. Well, across all industries. So I'll give you like a little hint of my professional background. I worked in corporate banking and I worked in insurance, in pharmacy. I worked in a bunch of different areas, safety training. Every single industry and every single company that's big does this, FYI. The reason why I'm bringing it to construction is because it's not being done yet,
Mm.
but everybody else does it. They all
Mhm.
capture it. Do you think like that's how Pepsi and Coke and Hershey's and all these companies I've worked with, this is how they keep all their profitability going. A lot of it is because they have really, really strong knowledge capture and it's very robust. So,
Well, when I
um,
started my
yeah.
business, I remember leaving corporate America going, I am done with all these rules and all these processes. I don't want any more of this. I'm going to go be an entrepreneur, do it my way, and it's going to be awesome. And then it took a long time before I realized, wait a minute. That's what makes those companies big and successful and
Mhm.
profitable is that
Yeah.
it's not all falling on one person. And that's one of the things that I see with this tribal knowledge issue is that there's usually one or two guys in the company that have it all, and we send everybody to them. And it's just one
Mhm.
of those things that, like you said, somebody may decide to go get their hips done and they're done. They retire and they're
Yeah.
gone, and
Yeah.
it's too late
Well,
now.
and it's annoying for them, right? Like it may be a nice ego boost to have like hold all the keys and hold that ace card to their chest. That might be kind of nice for a little while, but you could make it part of their job that like 2 hours a week they're working with somebody and making a, kind of downloading those frequently asked questions to
Mm,
somebody that they can capture. Like you can incentivize that.
yeah.
Um, so
Well, as we
yeah, we've been doing this a long time in different industries. So and as instructional designers and learning creators, I've been trying to get better knowledge access. So, my brain has always been, what can we do to basically put a search engine over top of all of our stuff?
mm,
Like a corporate librarian or like a company librarian that if you said, "Hey Siri, how do we save time on this? Or how do we estimate this? Or how do we cut the red tape here?" And they just like bloop, bloop, bloop and give you the answer. Well, we built that.
wow.
And it's because AI in the last 6, 12 months, by the time this airs, has been rapidly evolving so fast that we now can build this actually fairly reasonably for our clients. So it's your own internal um, database AI thingy that just like looks at everything in the background that we've fed it and trained it, and it gives you a chat function. So anybody can ask it questions. And that's really exciting.
That's
So
so
that's what
cool.
we're doing from an AI perspective.
Well, hey, you've got a book coming out, and you've also got a gift for our listeners. So, as we wrap up, can you share a little bit? I think you said the book's coming out in 26. So, share a little bit about the book, how people can get on the pre-order list if they want to know how to do this. Which I mean, you had told me it's one of the largest chapters in the book. Is this like there's so much that goes
Yes.
into it? So, talk a little bit about that, and then also you've got a productivity tool for our
Mhm.
listeners as well.
Yeah, lots of stuff. So feel free to go to our website, boostld.com, and look for free resources there. We also have, yeah, we have a productivity handbook for leaders. We've got information on the book coming out January 2026 ish. Fingers crossed. So stay tuned for that. Notionally, the book is passing the torch in the trades. I'm sure the editor will have tweaks to that title, so bear with me. But yeah, that's basically, I'm just writing and writing and writing. And this chapter, number 9, by the way, is the biggest in the book. So there's lots of information there about creating your knowledge capture engine, capturing the tribal knowledge, and encouraging people to share those little bits about, hey, that's not how we do it. Yeah, they maybe
Mhm.
taught you that, but here's how we do it. So incentivizing that, in fact, so it's not dirty little secrets all sprinkled around the company, but it's actually like out and used by everybody.
Mm,
You get some better control mechanisms there. We'll tell some stories about where that's gone really bad in big companies like airlines and things. Um, shortcuts can sometimes not be great.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to catch those. So, anyways, there's so much to say, Ryan. I'd love to be able to talk more about this anytime. This has
Yeah.
been fun.
So, is there other ways for people to connect with you besides the website?
Yeah, please find me on Instagram. The link will be here. Manja Horner is my Instagram handle. I'm the only Manja Horner apparently on the planet, so that's easy to find. But yeah, feel free to reach out via the website, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm out there. It's pretty easy to find if you need some help with this because this is not a like whim project, but it could make or break you going forward.
Oh, thank you so much for all of the information that you've shared. So much stuff here to think about and definitely get our team. So if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, you know what? this is something that we've talked about. We're not really sure what to do. Share this episode with your peers, share them with your team, share this episode because Manja dropped a bunch of great nuggets just to get you thinking about that next step. So Manja, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing all that information. I've really enjoyed it. I got a half page of notes right here. It was great. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Ryan Englin here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.